Hello. Can you
Hey.
briefly describe your organization and who you are?
Yeah, my name is Donny Irving. I'm the Mission Vision Director of Community Kids, which is a mentoring organization, and we provide lifelong mentoring relationships that with kids.
Sounds pretty cool. So why is it important for mentors to stay in touch with their mentees right now? Like, what would you say that most kids are doing day to day?
Yeah, I think this is especially during a pandemic like this when the kids are out of school and just not really doing a lot. I think it's even more important to reach out to the kids because I think what I've noticed is a lot of kids in the community, they will actually stay up all night and they aren't going outside as much. And so they'll actually, their daily schedule, they'll stay up to about 7 a.m. and then they'll sleep all the way to 4 p.m. And so I think in doing that, I've been noticing that more kids have been kind of mentioned about more anxiety, depression, and they're kind of alone with their thoughts when they're not engaging with the world.
Right. So, what are the biggest challenges and barriers you've seen mentors face right now?
Yeah, I think the for mentors, what I've heard from some mentors is they've been saying sometimes they're when they reach out to the kids that the kids are kind of short with them, that they aren't giving good responses and maybe ignoring some of their texts or ignoring their calls. And so it's been a little difficulty, I think, on the mentor end because I think it's hard because we've always try to keep things as physically personal as possible with kids, just doing stuff with them. But when you're from a distance, I think it can be challenging. And I think the kids feel disconnected and the mentors feel disconnected when they're doing stuff from a distance.
So, let's say my kid or my mentee who I'm trying to reach out to, I like write them long messages and all these things, but they only answer in yes or no. What would you suggest that I do?
I think just keep communicating with them, and I think sometimes just kind of try to keep it fun. Start off with some fun questions like, "What are you watching on TV right now?" Or what's, uh, your, how do you, basically how they're kind of filling their days and their times, and just kind of more basic kind of factual where they can actually give kind of a response. And I think that helps them to open up about more deeper stuff. And so just kind of just kind of keep it fun, and engaging and, ask them music, their movies, what they're watching, and even ask them to send a funny video that they've seen of today, things like that, where it just kind of it helps them share about what they're doing. Because I think sometimes we want to move past to like, are you being depressed or are you uh, being, how you're handling this spiritually? And sometimes they just want to like start off with some, lighthearted things.
So, I guess kind of along those lines, what if a mentor is like, I'm still only getting a kid to communicate in one word conversations, or like they're video chatting me, but it's kind of a weird video chat. I guess a concern might be that the kid will forget about them. I guess what are other ways that, like besides online, I suppose, that mentors could engage their kids?
Yeah, I think, if you know their address, sending them a note, uh, and even, it's hard during this time because of the quarantine, and we don't want to be too, um, engaged with them. But I think, if you do kind of live nearby, a simple walk to their house with some gloves on, a mask on, and knock on their door, and from several feet away, just touch base with them that way. I think is another thing, and maybe possibly if you can go for like a bit of a walk around the block where maintain some distance from them as well. I think that's a really means a lot to them. That's something that I've been doing in the neighborhood, and it's a lot easier for me when I'm because I'm next door neighbors with them, where I can knock on their door and be safe about it, but kind of still go for a walk and touch base with them as well. So I'd say that's kind of one kind of big thing. Um, uh, and just also just kind of be creative with it. I think another thing is, if you really know you're a mentee or the kid who you're kind of building a relationship with, kind of know what they like to do or kind of what they're passionate about, and try to kind of give them, some tools to right now, especially that they have so much time on their hand that they can actually kind of like build into towards some of their passions. So, for instance, I've because the Facebook market is still kind of open right now, and so I bought a piano for one of the kids who really likes piano, or it's a little keyboard, and it was like for like $20. Bought this little keyboard, and provides them opportunity to learn that, and I've been sending online videos for that. And then also another couple group of boys, their parents aren't allowing them to go to the parks because it's too dangerous, and so then what I did, I looked up Facebook Market and found this cheap basketball hoop that we set up in their yard area. And so that's kind of another like little thing that I think it really makes the day of the kids. And I would say overall, figure out a way that can really make the day like so much better for the kid. And just be there for them.
Yeah, that's cool. What are like the main things you want a mentor to take away? Or if someone just did one thing or remembered one thing, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would say one. Well, there's a few things. I'd say one, consistency. I think kids, even when they're ignoring you or even when they're being difficult, is just kind of being consistent and still um, reaching out to them. I think that's critical. I think another thing is, as I've been thinking about kind of this time, one of my friends actually shared with me basically when he's interacting with some of his students, he's actually a school teacher, and he kind of uses an analogy like if he's having a difficulty with one of the students, he says he's going to war with that student today, like basically trying to get them to kind of open up their eyes and wake up, and that and to hopefully realize that school is an important thing in their life, and that they shouldn't just like skip out on school. And so I feel like kind of have that mentality that it is kind of like going to war a little bit, that the kids are dealing with a lot in their own lives and their hearts, their minds, and and you're actually kind of represent light to them. And if they don't want the light, they're going to try to like back off away from that. But I think especially in scripture, it does describe that there's a spiritual battle that goes on, and just kind of have the mindset that you're going to war and you're going to battle, and fighting for and kind of with the kids in some of these battles. And I think that really means a lot to the kids when they see that. And I think, the final thing I would say, just kind of be creative, just like I said, figure out, a way to give them a nice gift during this time that means a lot. Or I would say even, if there's their birthday, do something special. There's another organization, Urban Family Ministries. I noticed that they actually did a birthday parade for one of their kids, and they would throw out candy from their car and from their vans. And so it was just kind of a creative thing that they did to help the kid. And I think that made that kid's day really special. Or whether it's dropping off food, I think another organization, Grand Rapids Dream Center, they've been doing food drop-offs, just kind of like we've been doing to the different families. And so I'd say those would be the few things. I'd say, be consistent, be, kind of have this like mindset that you're going to battle, but then also, be creative. And I think just kind of one, cool story too, to kind of end with is, a kid that I've been mentoring, just kind of been battling with, and just kind of trying to help them to realize that it's not good to stay up through the night, and basically to kind of do productive things. And so this kid started journaling and and I told the kid that they should learn different things. And so they've been actually learning to bake and do different things, but then they've been kind of reflecting on it. And so I guess one day they burnt a batch of cookies, And then they sent me this picture with the burnt cookies, but then basically everyone in their house made fun of them for burning the cookies. But then they sent this journal little thing that they wrote down of how the basically how even when people criticize them, that they want to push through and that they want to improve. And it was like really neat to see that kind of all these things I've been kind of sharing. That it's been, it took me a while to battle through this, and they're actually starting to learn and actually starting to make it through their own battles in their own minds. Where like sometimes kids would shut down after being criticized, but they were able to journal, pray, reflect, and then they made it out, and then they're going to try again. And so I think that's kind of a cool thing that, just as encouragement, just to stay consistent, be creative, and just also kind of, I'd say, be courageous. That's a little acronym: creative, consistent, and courageous. So, yeah. So that would be what I would have to say.
Cool. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I think that's it. So thank you for joining me for this conversation. I'm sure all our mentors will appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna pause recording
Yeah,
now.
if you guys need anything, just reach out to me and let me know. Hit me up on Facebook. And just let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll go to war. I'll step inside the ring. I feel like I'm not afraid of like knocking on the doors and getting through some of those barriers with you. So.
All right, I'm just gonna stop the recording. Okay.